God, it's an absolute miserable day, isn't it? The sky is grey, it is so muggy, and it's just, there's just nothing to see really. It's wet, it's rained for days and days and days, but the show must go on. Let's go. So it's that time of year where there's just the horrible jobs to do, but the plot is looking absolutely disgusting. Everything's flattened down now. The storm that just came through, again another storm, but that's what happens in autumn and winter here. So look at that sky. You can't even see the mountain. It's horrific. But I brought over a few things that I want to do today, and yeah, it's one of those days, and I'm sure you get them, where you look out that door and you look out that window and think, I don't want to go there. I do not want to go there, but I'm here now. I'm being positive about it. I want to get a few jobs done, because once I've done it, I know then I'll feel happy about it. And the beds are looking really, really good now. They've settled in really well. I'm happy with those. Let me show you. So this one hasn't dropped down too much. As you can see, like autumn already, knocking those leaves down on the beds. And this one, the onions, they're settling in okay. I can see a little bit of root showing there, so it's tucking back in. But yeah, I'm happy with these so far. So I have decided that this is coming out. There is going to be another bed like this here. This won't be the herb bed anymore. As you can see, it's just not looking its best. I got all that colt's foot that I mentioned inside there as well. So I think I'm going to put some weed suppressant down as well. That stopped the moles as well. I thought about this afterwards. I'll take all the herbs out, reposition them in a nice place, and this will become another bed on the plot. God, look at the fig tree now. It is looking sorry for itself. There's still loads of medium-sized figs, which I will take off, because they won't last over anyway. You only want the tiny, small figs. So I'll take a few of them off today as well. This area needs a good sort out as well. It is looking terrible, but those jobs can wait for another day. So did anyone see my live on Thursday with Gemma from Gemma in the Garden, and also Will from the Flying Gardener? Go take a look at their channels. They popped over to my channel on one of the live chats, and then Jane Kelly obviously popped over as well then later on, and we all had a good natter about gardening in autumn and how preps is ready for spring. It was actually a really good live. I'm going to do one now all the way up to Christmas, every Thursday around about 7 o'clock. So stay tuned and keep an eye on my community page for that, because I'm going to be putting on new guests every week. So yeah, I just think it's something that can keep us all together, keep us in the loop, and you can also get to know other new YouTubers, old YouTubers. When I say old, I mean their channel's old. But yeah, I just think it'll be a nice way of us all having a little chat in between each other, because we all know what it's like in autumn and winter. You become a little bit more isolated, and let's just all have a little natter every Thursday night. So if you are interested in that, pop over my channel on Thursday night. Look at this hole now, where I've actually been taking some soil from here. You can see the difference in height from down here up here. So I didn't realize there was a bit of a bank here, but I am going to take all this out, level it all up a little bit better. So that's a job I want to try and do. But is today the right day? Today is definitely not the day, but will I listen? Who knows? It's so wet and muddy, but I've got my nice new boots on, and I just need to get some jobs done, because I feel like this week has just gone so quick that I want to feel that I've done something productive in the garden. So let's go.
Maybe I never knew what I really wanted, but looking back I can see it's all clear.
So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to head down to the Grapevine Garden, because my fork is down there, and which I don't really use it that often, so it's probably in the potting shed down there. And I think on the side of the polytunnel here, there's a few dahlias that are there, and I know I'm tempted fate now, they're going to rot off. So I'm going to dig up those ones, pop them in the polytunnel, let them dry off a little bit, and then most of the soil should hopefully drop off. And then I'll overwinter them in some cardboard boxes, and then hopefully in spring I can plant them back out, and they'll give me a nice flourish of colour again. So let's get that done. So if you didn't see the live, you probably won't know about the update that I talked about as well. So I'm actually getting a fruit cage. So it won't be like this one, which has been handmade, and I absolutely love this. But First Tunnels are sending me a beautiful fruit cage, and I'm so happy that I'm going to be moving the fruit from the fig and olive plot, which I already moved back up in autumn last year. So they've gone dormant again. I'm probably making them a little bit annoyed by doing that, but there's a reason for that. It's because I'm figured that space up there can be used more better, because this plot is getting a bit more quieter and I can film better on there as well. So both plots are still being used, but it's just easier if I move the fruit down here. It's flatter as well, and also that fruit cage would really empower that plot up on the fig and olive due to the size of it. So down the grapevine is quite bigger and longer, so I think that the fruit cage will look perfect down there. And I'm going to be taking some buildings down, moving everything around in the next couple of months. Why do I do this to myself? Everyone seems to be having new sheds. So this is Ollie's shed. He's quite a new plot holder, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So he's got a lovely new shed here now. So I'm thinking I might want a new shed, and I just like it to be a little bit bigger so that I can put everything in one place. And I'll show you Linda's as well on the way back up, because that's absolutely beautiful. It's got double doors on the front and windows surrounding it, because, you know, you've seen that mountain above our plot. So, of course, you'd want to be watching that when you're having a cup of tea in the rain. So, yeah, I'll show you that in a minute as well. So while I'm at the grapevine plot, I'm going to have a look at the sprouts. And they're called Brendan F1. Charles Dowding recommended them. So I'm going to have a look at those, see how they're getting on. And also remembered that I left the netting still on the cherry tree, so I want to take that off so all the leaves can fall naturally, and then any pests on there can be sorted out through winter. So I want to get those done as well while I'm down here, and also check on the garlic. The villagers. It appears we've got a bit of an issue, so I didn't seem to see any garlic. Now I'm a little bit worried by this, because I should be seeing garlic by now. Oh, hang on. Yeah, so there's one little shoot here. But by now, I should be seeing more garlic than this, I think. So they're looking okay, but they could do a bit of tidying up. So let's do that and I'll get back to you. You know what? They're not looking too bad. These are the Brendan F1. I could do with them a little bit bigger, but in the next month or so, hopefully they'll grow a little bit more. But I'm happy with them so far. All netted over now, and keep the pigeons off, because they're a nightmare. They'll sit on top of these and they'll eat and peck and just damage them and snap them. So make sure they're still covered for winter. So I've got my fork. Let's head up back to the fig and olive plot. It's really weird how quickly the plots change and everything dies down and it's just bare soil. And it looks like a war zone, but I'm used to it now. But new plot holders who came in spring were saying the other day how shocked they are, how different the plots look in autumn and winter, but they haven't seen nothing yet.
I never felt tomorrow closing in this fast. Oh, I guess time's in a rush. Leaves are falling down, but at least they grow back, while I'm on a one-way track. Now I know what it means to grow old. The time I've got, it is just enough to get by. Yeah, it is just enough to get by.
So the dahlias are out, and as you can see, God, they've grown this year. This one especially. I think this is the cafe au lait. And funny enough, I didn't get that many flowers on this one this year, but it must have been growing tubers instead. So what I'll do now is I'll brush off most of the soil from my dahlias. Always label them. I label these at the start of the season so I know where they are and when I want to store them. So they're all labelled. I'll brush off all the soil, and then when they're dried a bit, then I'll store them, and I'll show you that in a later video. So I'm down to 1 bag of bark now, which is not good because, oh actually no, scrap that, I've got about 4 or 5 in the polytunnel as well. I was thinking then, how am I going to finish this project off? I still need to make a raised bed and bark all around it, but the jobs are being ticked off as always, but let's carry on. So it's the middle of November, and Sarah from She Sows She Grows gave me some ochre last year. I planted it out in a bucket in spring. Let's have a look how we got on with that. I planted it in the polytunnel. It's been in there. I've given it some watering. I didn't water it for a bit. It died down a bit. I watered it again. It came back. Let's have a look at the harvest. So I've got the ochre here in a 30-litre bucket. It was planted in well-rotted manure plus good compost. I did it on the 15th of March, and it's had hit and miss with water, but let's have a look. Let's just have a look. I think we're going to get a good little harvest, but so let's have a look. Oh, we've got some here already. So these are tiny ones, but they're okay. Now they're supposed to have a bit of a lemony potato sort of flavour to them, so I will take these off anyway. And where can I put them? Let me get a pot. There we go. Let's have a look. Well, they're not looking the biggest at the moment, but fingers crossed we got some more. If not, I've grown this for 7 months or 8 months for nothing. Well, wow. Well, my huge harvest. Well, I'm really disappointed in them because look at what is that? I'm not making excuses, but I don't know whether or not maybe a mouse or rat's got in and took some of them as well, because I expected a lot more than, than that. But hey ho, it was worth a go anyway. Perhaps I'll grow some again. Perhaps I'll keep these ones and hopefully they'll overwinter and I can plant them out again and try again. But that was a fail. So my next plan after I sort out the herb garden there is to cut back the raspberries, dig them out and move them. I think I'm going to move them down to the new fruit cage that are down on the grapevine garden. They'll all be contained in there then as well. So that's the plan there, and I'm thinking about putting a huge bed here and planting that, stockpiling that with tulips. So I think I'm going to have loads and loads of tulips in here. So I've got quite a big order coming. And I think how beautiful it would be to have tulips there and also tulips in the new bed that's going to be here. So when you walk into the plot in spring, it'll be a flush of colour. So I think that's what I'm going to do as well. So leaving all your plants in the ground and hoping for the best in spring is daring. It can gamble and pay off, but if you've got things like dahlias and they're in waterlogged areas, like the polytunnel, it's just going to run water into that area all over winter. And I know that they wouldn't survive. So they're the reason why I've taken them up. I've got some over underneath the fig tree. I'm going to bark over the top of that, and I think that'll be okay up there because it's not as waterlogged, but definitely there. So don't risk it. If you've spent money out on things like dahlias and other plants, especially asparagus as well, if you planted asparagus, make sure you look after it, because you know it is costly, and it takes a long time for it to grow. You know, there's about good 3 years before I'll be harvesting from this. But it's an investment, so look after your investments on the plot. Now, normally I'd be pruning back my blueberry bushes, my black currants, my white currants, my red currants, and the gooseberries now as well, because all the leaves have pretty much dropped off. But I'm holding back because you've got plenty of time in autumn and winter. Once they go dormant, if you want to move them to dig them up, So don't prune any of your fruit bushes before the leaves are dropped off and they are in dormancy. But I'm going to leave them a bit because I'm going to be moving them in the next month. There's no point me stressing them and cutting them now and then moving them again. I'm going to do it all at one time. Cut, dig, and then plant back in and let them settle all over, and then they'll be good to go for next year. So I'd also like to thank everyone who's joined as a membership to the channel, and I generally thank you so much. If you'd like to, you can join as a member to the channel. There will be some perks coming up. You'll be getting the videos earlier than everyone else. I'm going to be doing live chats personally with those particular members. But if you'd like to support the channel anyway, and you can just click the little membership button underneath. It's a small amount, but to me, it all helps. It helps this growing space keep going and going. And yeah, if you love the channel and you'd like to, but if you don't, I'm still carrying on anyway. But if you'd like to, it's there as an option. So thank you so much for all the members that have recently joined. I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. So if you've got a garden or an allotment or just a small growing space, look after it, treat it like your child, because it'll pay you back later on. And I doubt children pay you back later on, but you know what I mean. You know, just look after it, mulch the beds, cover them over, and next year in spring it will thank you in dividends. You know, this garden was well looked after all over autumn and winter last year, and look at the blooms that I had. This was a jungle of food and fruit and flowers, and I want the same next year. So I'll carry on now for the next 2 or 3 months, and by spring we're back, we're good to go. So if you've got a fig tree, these are the ones that will be next year's early fruit. The tiny little small ones look like peas. These larger ones, they won't, they'll die off. So you can take these off now and take them off, and they're small, but if they're a little bit squidgy, you can ripen them up just the same way that you do with tomatoes. Pop them in a brown paper bag with a banana skin, and these will ripen up before you know it. So treat them just like tomatoes, and they'll be nice and ripe, and you'll have some lovely figs in winter. So I'm going to take off a pile of these now, and they're not huge at all, but it's no point me keeping them on because this would normally be a second harvest if we were in a better climate. But for me, these would be perfect because you don't want them looking like this. So if you leave these ones on, chances are by March time they'll look like this. So that can be knocked off as well, and these will be picked as well. So get off all the baby figs. So I recently had a question on my Instagram regarding elephant garlic, and they asked that they had the little bulbils, and they're the very small spherical little looking like seeds on the outside of an elephant garlic. And they said, what can they do with them? And you can plant them and they'll grow into green garlic. You can use them as that. But basically they're tiny small little bulbils, and what happens is if you plant them in an area and you leave it for 1 year, you'll get this, and this is called a monobulb. As you can see, it's not quite a garlic clove. It doesn't look like this where it's quite, you know, bumpy. It's very, very spherical, and that grows for the first year, and then if you leave it in the second year, this will split and turn into elephant garlic. So if you've got these and you've got some room and you're not rushing for the garlic, plant those little bulbils and it'll go to first year monobulb. And you can still cook with this as well. You can still use this if you want, but I'm going to plant this today, and I'll show you then next, you know, in the summer, how this will turn. And I've got another one here, so I've got 2. This will turn into this then. So if you've got time, plant those little bulbils. 2 years later, you've got garlic. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to plant the 2 monobulbs and also all the spare garlic cloves that I've got in here. And I know what will happen, just like it happens to all of us. We get excited with garlic, we plant it all up, and then in spring we're desperate for space and we planted up 2 beds of garlic. But I will use this as green garlic anyway all over autumn, winter and spring. But I like garlic, so I'll always find space for it. So if you've got a little gap in somewhere, or even a few pots, pop some garlic in. And I'm actually going to use that bucket I just used for the oca. I'm going to plant some in there as well, pop that outside, let it do its little thing, and hopefully we'll have some more garlic, because you can't have enough garlic. So I'm not going to faff today and get my hori out, all my trowel, and dig all the holes and make sure they're all equal. I'm just going to plonk these in the ground, hope for the best, and sometimes that's just all you need to do. If you haven't got much time, do not stress about it, just put it in the ground. Now, elephant garlic does tend to take a little bit longer, so if you have planted it this year and you're wondering why all your other garlic cloves are coming up, unlike mine, they do take a bit longer. They're a little bit more lazier, but they'll be up. They'll be up before Christmas, I promise you. So just be patient with the elephant garlic. So I have got some spare elephant garlic left, and I have promised Gemma at Gemma in the Garden and Will at the Flying Gardener. I'll put a link to their channels in the description, but the good thing as well is that if you've got some spare, share it out with fellow friends and plot holders, because they will always share back with you, and that's the good thing about gardeners, that they are big sharers. And on my plot, I had a failed harvest of leeks this year, and I gave all my spare leek seedlings away, and they've had successes. So sometimes you'll have a failure, they'll have successes, and you help each other out. And that's what I like about my allotment site, is that all through autumn and winter now, I'm not worried about leeks, because I know for a fact that they will always share their leeks with me. And I'm actually going down now to get some off Linda's plot, and I can show her a shed. So I've shown Linda and Doug's plot on the channel a few times, and about their polytunnel. I remember they had blight in the early summer. Well, they've got this beautiful shed, and it's made me so envious, because I really want a nice new shed now. And let me show you it. So before we get on to Linda's plot, I thought I'd show you Cheryl's. Now, Cheryl took over this plot, and I'll put a picture up of how it needed some loving, and look what she's done already. Do you know what I mean? Onions are in, she's planted all the garlic, and she's just got so much. Look at the beds are mulched. She's cleaned all the patio area, and look, do you know what I mean? Everything's in. This was my old bay tree from my herb garden that I donated to as well, but Cheryl is known for taking over plots and whipping them around in no time. And she just so happened to be Linda's neighbour as well, and Linda's garden is looking absolutely beautiful. The pond is looking lovely, and all the beds are all up with his onions in. But look at this. God, I'm sure she's going to let us have a little nose in there at some point, but it's beautiful. She's got windows all the way around, so she can look at the mountain when it looks visible. But it's absolutely stunning. Double doors, nice little patio area, and the polytunnel. I think I'm going to put the zip down for her though. So yeah, that's made me really envious now, because that's a lovely shed, honestly. It's lovely. And if you want to have a little look inside there, Linda's actually got a new YouTube channel. She's just started, called The Feel Good Garden. I'll put a link in the description. Go over, have a little look, and if you want to subscribe, happy days. I'm sure Linda would appreciate it. Tell her I sent you over, and I'm sure she's going to be showing you some loads of hints and tips, and she'll also probably film me drinking coffee on her plot every half hour. You know, I feel a bit better now. That is quite productive. I've also did all the jobs that I hope to do today, and also harvested that veg that I want. I am going to make a nice beautiful beef casserole tonight, so I'll pop a picture on the screen now if it turned out okay. It's a red wine and beef casserole, and it's absolutely stunning. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Danny, and this is the Grapevine Garden.